Go going live. All right. Greetings, greetings. Good afternoon, everybody. Haki Ami, the Success Scholar here. Hope you all are well. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful day. I wanted to come live just really, really quick. I have some amazing sisters that are on live with me from various parts of the world. And they were participants in the third permanent forum for people of African descent in Geneva, Switzerland. And so joining me, I have Sister Angela Sales, Sister Joy Osaminle. No, I can't see it in my glasses, but I'm allowed for her to pronounce her name. I think you're muted, Joy, now. Did your phone mute?
Yeah, my name is Joy Osomiameo. I am actually I'm driving. That's why I have to mute because of the distractions of the voices.
All good. Thank you.
The noise on, yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you, yes, for joining. I understand. Appreciate you joining. I believe you're back in Nigeria. And Sister Marlene Morris. And where are you, Sister Marlene?
I'm currently in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, okay. So both Angela Sales, the International Sheroes, and let me just say it's Sheroes with an E at the end, everyone. So I will do the edits on the next stream with that. So the International Sheroes Union. And so I will attempt to allow for, Angela to open up and share a little bit about the International Sheroes Union and talk about the history and what the International Sheroes Union actually is. If we got you, Angela, can we hear you? Mic check. Well, we had Angela for a second here, but maybe she can come back on. But okay, she went out and now she's going to come back on. So let me go to Joy. I know she's driving. It's probably about in the afternoon, Nigeria time. Let's see, 2 o'clock, 2 or wow, I'm that good. Okay, it is 2 o'clock there. I just guessed off the top of my head. I know it's West Africa is generally 5-ish hours, so I knew I was close. So let me bring Angela back on, but definitely. So was this your first time? Let me go to Joy. Was this your first time going to the United Nations in Geneva?
My first time going to United Nations in Geneva, yes, and it was my first time participating at the.
Greetings, can you hear me?
I hear you. I think Joy
Can I
just
start off
muted.
talking about the Global African Sheroes Union just to kind of set the tone?
Sure, you can now since you're back, but thank you. Yes, please. So Joy, pause for a second. I know you're driving. I wanted to get to her since she was driving. But Angela, yes, please, come on. You can come on in and talk about the International Sheroes Union, if you may, please.
I think.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you, Brother Haki, for having us on. The name of our organization is the Global African Sheroes Union. We call GASU for short. GASU is our acronym, Global African Sheroes Union. The organization was founded by Sister Kim Poole as a sisterhood, so maybe like 8 years ago, 6 years ago, back in 2019. 5 years ago. Wait, how many? Yeah, that's 5 years ago. Sister Kim asked me to assist her in bringing the Sheroes to the United Nations, as I had been working previously with the Million Women March 20-year anniversary reunion and had been at the UN for 2 years on the Commission of the Status of Women as an observer. And year 3, I was asked to speak on the panel, and that was the same year that Sister Kim Poole asked me to assist her in bringing the Sheroes into the UN. And so we did that. Of course, if you know Sister Kim, one event turned into 3 events. And now we did that successfully. And we've been working with the Commission on the Status of Women at the UN for the past 6 years, since 2019.
Wow.
To talk about about the Sheroes, we operate in 22 regions globally, and
Mhm.
we exist specifically for the economic, social, financial, and social protections and upward mobility for global African women. Our
Mhm.
goal is to create heroic bridges around the globe between all women of African descent, as we call global African women. So this particular event, the third permanent forum for people of African descent, was our first visit to the United Nations on this particular forum, but we have been in the UN system for 6 years. And so we have our two dear sisters who are part of our regions. We have 5 regional chapters in the United States. In the Midwest, we have the Ohio and Detroit chapters. We have in the Southeast, Kentucky, Lexington, and Louisville. Southwest, we have chapters in Houston. And of course, we have the DMV. In the North Atlantic
Mhm.
chapter. We also have Sheroes in Europe, the Caribbean, and the majority of our Sheroes are on the continent in Africa. So when we come to these platforms, these are the voices of women that we're representing in these particular spaces. And so I just wanted to, give a context of who the Sheroes are. We are organized as an NGO based out of Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
Um, under the Global African Sheroes Union. And we also have an economic arm, which is called the Sheroes Shop. So today we are focusing on our advocacy under the Global African Sheroes Union and the work that we are doing at the UN and specifically at the third permanent forum. So thank you, Brother Haki, for having us. Our sister Joy, who is on the ground right now in Nigeria, is one of our newest Sheroes. She's based in the UK, and she's working on behalf of women there in that particular region. And of course, our sister Marlene, who will tell us more about the work that she does, but she is a world traveler. She works with women all over the world, and particularly on the continent of Africa. And I'm so fortunate that she took the invitation to become a Shero from me, because our organization is not open to the public. Our sisterhood is by invitation only. And so we invite sisters to come in, and we have a level of accountability to one another. And Marlene is one of my Sheroes. So thank you for allowing me to just give background on our organization before we jump right in to talk about the work at the UN.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, Sister Marlene, so beautiful. I don't know if did you go to New York earlier this year?
No, sir. I was in actually East Africa at the time,
Uh,
attending births. I was in Kenya and Ethiopia
oh,
during
wow.
that time. So I only was able to attend the Geneva one.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
Please excuse my
Also,
voice. I don't normally sound so masculine, but I think I have from all my travels a little something going on, but I'm here.
right. No, it's all good. Well, no, I appreciate you, uh, joining us here. And so, but I'll ask you what I asked Joy. So this is your first time going to Geneva?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So how did you find that experience? You all stayed about 3 to 4 days, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you were you were on the floor of the United Nations. So there are two. So there's New York and then there's Switzerland, right? There's just two principal
Right.
locations.
And Joy attended both, right? So
Oh,
she can do the comparison of that if
wow,
you wanted to tap back into her. I could just speak to Geneva. It was
yes.
an experience. I'm not really a political person.
Mhm.
I typically am more grassroots doing the work. But it really was a sight to see so many people doing the work. I think
Right, right.
most important takeaway for me was that that room can hold over 1,000 people, and
Wow,
there's
wow.
1,000 people in there fighting on behalf and representing, Black people around the world, people
Mm,
of African descent around the world,
mm,
with legit concerns and recommendations. And so for me, it was networking and being in the midst of the presence of, high officials and people with passion to see change in the world. So that was my takeaway, as well as kind of how diverse I think Switzerland is. I think when I initially was going, I thought it was going to be very European, and it is for sure. But we were able to go to Senegalese restaurant. There was
Mm,
Cameroonian
mm,
restaurant, Ethiopian. So there's people from all over the world that are there. So
wow. No, that's insightful. That's insightful. So I appreciate that. Giving some insights and context to, just visualizing 1,000 people in one room speaking or listening. That's just, that's just would have been an amazing sight. So Joy, you were in both New York and Geneva, correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. How did you like that? How was your experiences? What would you say comparative? That's what I wanted to see. The New York to the UN, like, would there be more? I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, more Western people here, Western, like the whole United States, Canada, comparative to Europe. Obviously, I'm just trying to think like what, because I did get a chance to. I was at the second permanent forum uh, in New York last year. So, I was able to see how broad it was. So it was just some good networking. I was just grateful to attend. And I'll come to you, Angela, with the same question.
So the question is how what the difference was as regarding New York and Geneva, or how
Hmm.
my opinion about both. And like we
Yes, yes,
always have
yes.
this opinion that Geneva is the kitchen and New York is the dining, and it actually seemed like that because you had more in being in the space in Geneva, actually had more of the what how would I describe them, the technocratic people that
Mm,
understands, yeah, the business of the day. So Geneva was so much more like work. Yeah, New York was about same, but it was yeah. I think in Geneva, CSW was CSW. CSW is an ongoing course, and people, yeah, the status of the women. But in Geneva, when you talk about the forum, permanent forum for the people of African descent, you could see so much passion in the room. You could see burning fires.
mm,
You could see greed. You could see, and indeed, in my heart, I would never have been part of the permanent forum for the people of African descent without being part of the Sheroes. So in my heart, I was so grateful to be part of the Sheroes. I was so happy and being privileged out of the people in the world to have been selected to be part of the people in that room because of the wonderful platform I belong to in Shero. So it
wow.
was, and then I learned a lot. There was so much information in the room. There was so much education,
Mm,
and it was also a good place for networking. Of course, whenever you come to
right.
conferences globally, it's always a good place to network. But
Absolutely.
Geneva, the spirit was different. The passion, the grit, the Ubuntu energy was all over the place. And I would be happy to be part of an opportunity to be in the midst of the same people for the permanent forum of the people of African descent. If I find the opportunity again, it was good. It was, to me, I think it was more of a learning curve. For CSW,
Hmm.
most of the things that were said at CSW were mostly repeated, like these are things that we already known facts. But in for the permanent forum, it was more of new information, learning new things. There was so much I got to learn about abbreviation, CARICOM, sixth region, just so much
Mm,
more. And I want to be
mm,
part of this movement and see that it comes to actualization, that the people of African descent have been given the reparation that they demand. The reparation justice comes to pass. Yeah, that's all I could say. Thank you.
beautiful, beautiful. Okay, Angela. So you wanted to chime in your experience. What did you were in both as well, and you actually spoke there. Obviously, everybody not speaking, uh, at these events, and so, but you had a chance. I believe they gave 2 minutes, correct? And we'll come to you, Marlena. I see your phone is dying, so we'll come to you in a second if you want to change phones or if you want to say something. But I'll let Angela, just chime in on that question, just your experience, just give an overview of the vibe that you experienced.
Thanks, Brother Haki. And sorry that I'm not on camera live. I'm having some technical issues, and
Okay.
that's why I'm not live. But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the comparative analysis between New York and Geneva, there are a couple of things that I would draw out.
Mm,
Number one, the focus of the forums were different. In New York, we attended for the Commission on the Status of Women, which
right,
brought,
right,
in
right.
particular, women to New York City. And I'm sure there
Mm-hmm.
were well over 10,000 women.
Wow, wow.
So the size of it is bigger because it's
Mm,
representing women from all over the world.
right,
And
right, right.
in New York, the representation of African women and women of African descent, which is who we represent, um, is not as large, as it should be. And so that's why it's
Mm-hmm.
important for us to be there, to be the
Wow.
voice of
Mm-hmm.
global African women, because many times when we're advocating for African women at the UN, we see billboards, posters, and brochures that have pictures and images of African women and African girls. But when you look behind the curtain and see who's managing those organizations and who's getting the resources, they are non-African women and
Mm,
that are doing the work for on behalf of African women. So that is why the Global African Sheroes Union is so important, because we are those women and we represent those women worldwide. And so that's why we show up in that space and continue to do so. But make no mistake, it is a fight, because the system itself, to get our recommendations and our conclusions to the floor and to the agreed
mm-hmm.
documents, we have to be savvy and informed on how those processes work so that our voice can be heard. And what we've discovered many times, African women are behind the process. All the decisions are already made before we even show up to the table. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're, fighting on that front on behalf of the Commission of the Status of Women. On the
Right.
other hand, in Geneva, the focus was on people of African descent. And so it was a smaller level of participation. As Joy mentioned, it was well over 1,000, but 1,000 people with a focus on the liberation, for people of African descent can yield more results, than maybe the other commission that we were at. And so it's very much an honor. It was very much an honor to be in the presence of people who are like-minded, because, we talk about finding our tribe, who should we be working with and living with and playing with. The people in that room very much are our tribe. And I will say there was a heavy representation from Black Europe. There were people of African descent from Belgium, the
Mm,
UK, Netherlands, Norway,
mm,
Ethiopian sisters from Norway. UK was in there heavy. Um, we had, of course,
mm,
people from the South, Colombia, Brazil was really heavily represented. In the forum, and of course US, and then Caribbean and CARICOM, as mentioned before, were
mm,
also represented with Jamaica, and one of the chairmen of the forum is actually St. Lucian. Barbados, they have a loud voice on that platform. And so, some of the differences have to do with the level of participation, who actually is in attendance, and of course, what the focus of the gathering is all about. In terms of the Global African Sheroes Union and our statement that we made
mm-hmm.
on the floor of the UN, yes, we did have an opportunity to do our 2-minute speech. We've had a myriad of issues that carried over from UNCSW that we wanted to bring forward to the floor. And I'll share just some of those. But because the forum is in real time, the once the organizations put forth their statements to the forum, then there's a time when the forum responds on what the conclusions are going to be. And then that gives the organization such as ours an opportunity to then respond. So the themes of this year's forum were around, one theme was around education, overcoming systemic racism and historic harm. There was also the theme on culture, as well as the second decade for people of African descent. I'm not sure if our audience is aware, but the first decade for people of African descent, it is ending this year in 2024. It was from 2015 to 2024 was the first decade. And the reason why the permanent forum for people of African descent even exists is because the decade was coming to an end, and many of the advocates lobbied for a permanent forum. And so now we're at the third permanent forum. And one of the outcomes of that forum is the creation of a second decade so that the issues of Africa do not die, that they stay up, that they stay alive, and that they stay at the forefront, and that they, stay in the center of world affairs, and particularly on the United Nations platform. So that was one of the themes, is what are we going to achieve? We look at the first 10 years of the first decade. Now we're going to the second 10 years. What are we seeking to achieve? But on behalf of African women, we responded to the issue of education and African-centered certification around education. Of course, we pay honor to our elders first, because we realize that the reason we're here is because of the life's work that they have put in. So we, publicly thank Dr. Beryl Beekman, Queen Mother Lois Blakely, Dr. Felechi Nisu, Empress Chi, Mama Makeda Lynn, the Honorable Louise Sewa, Mama Ade Olamo Dansi, Mama Afia Nwangaza, and of course, Sister Kim Poole, who is not yet an elder, but is the founder of the Sheros, as well as all of our Sheros around the globe who rely on us for this work. But we wanted to tell the United Nations and the forum that we agree with the idea of a global African curriculum. And what they brought forward, Brother Haki, is that the forum should take the responsibility of certifying a global African-centered curriculum. On the face of it, that's something to be applauded. Like, yes, we need a global African curriculum. But what the scholars and those that have been in this life's work will say is, yes, we need that. However, the certification must come through our independent African-centered scientific educational systems based on African methodologies, philosophies, and principles, because we need to secure and promote our sovereignty apart from the existing failed systems. And so we're not asking the forum to be a certification body. That's not what they're there for. They're a platform to do exactly what Joy and Marlene mentioned, a platform so that we can meet one another, network, and work towards our sovereignty and independence as African people. And so we recommended that support of those educational institutions that have been referenced in the African Union Sixth Region Declaration in the paragraph that details science, technology, education, and mathematics, that there are many institutions that have been doing this work for decades, and let the forum, give that charge to the people who have been working on African-centered education. And so further built on that to say that education on cultural issues related to child labor, child hunger, human trafficking of minors, and the actualization of social protection of African mothers be at the center of the education, as well as some other issues regarding children in war and conflict zones, and the issuance of visas for African women to come and actually do this work. And
Mm,
of course, we asked for a budget to support civil society NGOs, especially for African women and girls. And so there's a wide breadth of issues, but we centered it around the education topic as that was the theme that our work, fit into in this particular forum. So I know I
right.
said a lot, and I like to yield the floor to you and to the other two sisters, to chime in on, what some of the primary issues that they thought, or if they have any thoughts on um, the issues that we're advocating for. And particularly, I wanted to yield to Marlene because she works with mothers, African mothers. And of course, as Sheroes, mothers are foundational to the family institution. And we can't have a strong village without the family. We can't have a strong community without the family institution. We need that to do nation building. And so mothering is at the center of anything that we do as Sheroes and as a global African family.
Okay. Allow me. So, Joy, she said she had to leave in 10 minutes, but then she said her apologies. So she may come back. She had to physically do something. Oh, well, Joy, are you able to stay for 10 minutes? I'll come to you right now if you had to leave.
Yeah, 10 minutes, and yeah, I'll be able to. I apologize,
If
Angela. It's
it's
not my
okay.
person
If
to always.
Marlena, if you okay, yeah, if Marlene, if you okay, I'll come to you.
That's
Just
fine. I can relax. No worries. Go
you
ahead.
good? Okay. All right,
Yes.
Joy. So come on with it. You heard Angela share, some insights. So if you wanted to, add, anything that you work on before you go as well.
Angela is our founder for the GASU, the Sheroes Union, the Global African Sheroes Union, and she has the all the details, everything she was saying. It's the things we stand for, but particularly myself and my organization, we stand for education, capacity development in Africa, education and gender equality. So that will cut across SDG goal 4, 5, and 8. The goal is to use education as a tool to help get women to get their voices on the table, education as a tool to develop children and youth to be more of prepared, exportable immigrants in countries where they go, because there's a strong drive in terms of people leaving Africa to the West, especially for better survival and all that. But when they get to the West, the social integration is a big problem. There's a gap in social integration. And so my organization is there to kind of help bridge all many gaps in education. The educational system in Africa is really bad, and I think Africa, especially my country, Nigeria, is a very rich country and can afford to have a proper educational system. So what's happening is there's a gap in accountability, and so that's why we run programs to encourage child education, youth empowerment, and also making sure that the export economy of my country when it comes to human capacity development is better than the
Mm,
regular, because the regular, it's not adaptable, it's not able to get into the system when they travel to America, Canada, UK, because they do not have the right skills. So that's why we run skill acquisition programs. And then, of course, women can never be left behind, because when you train a woman, you train the entire community. So that's why we try to do a lot of educational program, human capacity program for women. We try to do a lot of financial inclusion projects for women, and that's how it's been running. Apologies again. I have a program I'm attending physically, and I am actually just being on the call to contribute my voice and show my solidarity to Sheroes, the Sheroes. But I need to leave in about 2 minutes. Thank you
yes,
so much
yes.
for this opportunity, and I would speak to Angela offline after now. Thank you,
Indeed, indeed.
Merlin, and thank you. Yes. If you have
Thank
any
you. Well,
final questions for me, I have 2 minutes and then I'm out.
well, Angela or Marlene, if y'all want to say anything to her before she goes.
So good to see you, sis.
See to you offline, Merlin.
Thank you, Sister Joy. Go save the world.
All right, bye.
All right, take care. Take care. It's good to hear Sister Joy in Nigeria share her insight. So someone text me, and I wanted to put that comment before we go to Marlene. Um, uh, how can sisters join the Global African Sheroes Union or any social media? I was looking for anything. I was reading your press release, but Angela, if you wanted to add on that, and then we'll go to Marlene to add on her inputs there.
Sure. Thank you for the question. Yeah, if sisters are interested in joining the Global African Sheroes Union, you can drop our email address there. They can send us an email with their interest, and then we will call them. And we kind of do like a meet and greet and, introduction meeting to see if, the sisterhood is a good fit, because we, bring sisters in. But our email address, I'll drop it here, is globalafricanwomen
Okay.
at gmail.com. We will identify what region they're in and, see who is operating in a sisterhood in a particular region, but we will reach out to them if they, send us an email letting us know of their interest. Global African Women at gmail.com. Maybe you can post it in the.
Yeah, I
Okay.
shall. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
If you
And also, there is a Facebook page, right?
Oh yeah, we have Facebook and YouTube as well. The Facebook page is Global African Sheroes Union. It's a reset of a page we had before, but they can find some information there. But a good amount of our body of work is on our YouTube page. So if they YouTube Global African Sheroes Union, they can find a lot of videos on the work we've done over the years, and we can provide the link for that as well.
Okay. All right. So, Sister Marlene, any inputs that you've heard that you wanted to add on to?
Yes, I think I would be remiss if I did not mention the maternal health issues that were brought on the floor at the forum, because this is my passion. My life work is working with women and babies. We know here in the United States, 66% of the maternal deaths that occur are preventable. And so just bringing attention to that to the floor was obviously I was grateful that it was brought to the floor, because that's a huge issue here in the States, but not only here, but it's a global issue as well. Um, and so my work, I am the co-founder and president of the Black Birth Collective here in Cleveland, and that group in particular is to support the birth workers who are helping the moms and babies get through that first year, as well as their pregnancy, that first year of life for that child. Um, and then internationally, how I assist, I do workshops. I've done workshops in Ethiopia, Senegal. I've taken medical supplies there, medical supplies and equipment to these areas where they have very minimal resources. That again could prevent deaths and disease and different illnesses. So that's the work I do. That's some of the issues that I thought that were Brazil definitely represented. I think Canada sponsored over 70 delegates to come.
Wow.
Colombia is leading in leadership there as well. I can't remember, what is the president name that was just reelected? Angela, do you remember?
For president or vice president or president?
Is she the vice
Oh,
president?
you mean in Ethiopia?
No, in Colombia. Remember, she gave a
Vice
Oh yeah,
president.
Francis.
Is she the
Victoria,
vice president?
Is she the president or vice president? I
she's the
thought.
vice president.
Okay,
Right.
vice
Okay.
president.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
okay,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So these are people that
Francia Marquez. Francia
Yes.
Marquez.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. So
And I knew she was vice president because she was supposed to come to Baltimore, Angela, if you remember, at the State of the
Yes.
Black World Conference. Right. But thank you, Marlene. You were saying.
Yeah, I was just mentioning her because she gave an address to, or the former, was it the former vice president? Someone gave an address, but just highlighted Colombia. For me, seeing Black people all over the world
Mm,
come together, and as Joy mentioned, in an Ubuntu spirit, to bring forth this change and to demand the reparations that we deserve,
mm-hmm,
um,
mm-hmm.
was very powerful. And then Tomoka, I think her name is Tomiko.
Tamiko,
Please
Tamiko.
forgive- Yeah, Tomiko. Yeah, she brought forth the address in regards to prison reform, I believe, and just
Mm,
the false imprisonment of African Americans, um,
mm,
as well as the education issue was presented in regards to our youth preschoolers being expelled from preschool and kindergarten, and it's like,
wow.
wait, what? So there
Mm,
was a lot of things that I knew that were addressed, and then there were some things that I didn't know that was placed on the floor to be addressed at the forum. So
beautiful, beautiful. Wow. Okay. Well, you all have answered many of my questions that I had, and I didn't even have to go question to question. You kind of knocked them all out. So, some of the speakers, and I have a list. Mama Nikichi did obviously
yes,
is so
I
many
saw that.
speakers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the video. Okay.
Yes, on
Okay.
YouTube. Yeah, I saw her
Oh,
video.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
So
and
they did a lot of the reparations, but there was definitely more spoken about different issues,
right, 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 right.
around the world. But they did a lot of the reparative
Mm-hmm.
conversations. But
Indeed.
yeah,
And
and
yeah.
Haiti, of course, there was people who really represented Haiti and supported. They brought
Wow.
Haiti to the forefront, so Haiti was definitely represented. I feel
Beautiful.
like everyone brought mention to Haiti as well.
Let me ask y'all this. And Marlene, you said you were in Ethiopia. So
Yes.
I saw some, online, some people protesting, about Tigray part of,
Yes,
or yes.
yes, that
How
region.
prominent was that addressed? If I may, Angela, I'm sidebarring, but because that appear to be, they appear to be very, adamant, and I'm like, there are other issues going on all over the world, but I'm just like, I mean, because since we're not on the ground, but you've been to, some parts of Ethiopia, so what would you say, to that, what's going on and how that fits in, and how we collectively have to move to find out more, to investigate, if you will, because I
So
hear different things.
I definitely can speak on that. One of my dear friends is actually from that region, and so my understanding of it, again, like I try not to get into the political whatever because it can just be overwhelming. But it seems like in this season I'm being forced into that. Um, But to be honest, I don't know. I would think that it was addressed on the floor, but I
Yeah.
don't recall it while I was sitting there or
Okay.
not. But what I can address is from what I know from being there and hearing from other Ethiopians, what it sounds like is the current president is from a region that is in opposition with the Tigray region. And what he has done was defunded all sources like his
Mm,
region was in war essentially with the Tigray region, and any resources that have been sent to aid that region, he has withheld them. And so
mm,
Tigray still in this state is without healthcare systems, and what they're lacking so many different resources that are
mm,
needed. And to get there, it's a war. So, like even right now, to travel there, they tell no one to go into those regions. So how do they get the resources? They can't,
mm,
right? So
mm,
Tigray right now is really struggling. And
mm,
so I appreciate you bringing up that issue because it is something that should be addressed. And I think on a global level, people should definitely, the allies should definitely step in and give attention to the Tigran. However, it's political because the current president is not for that region. And so the narrative
Mm,
that he's bringing forth is that they're fine, it's okay, they're getting
mm,
the aid, and they're actually not getting the aid.
mm. No, that exactly what you just said. Some people I've heard debates and things before this, and so people saying, "Oh no, everything's okay. It's
No,
exaggerated." And
no.
thank you for offering that insights. That wasn't one of my questions, but it certainly stood out. And if people are that passionate, it deserves some attention. So
Indeed.
Sister Angela, anything else, or you think you wanted to add or offer? We 40 minutes out, so we're doing good. But anything else you want to talk about next time, or what's going to be happening? I know you have a press release. I've been sharing that. Very well done. So I've been sharing that to all of the diverse African audiences. So, what would
Yes.
you say? Hmm.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Brother Haki. I do want to mention the work that we as Sheroes are plugging in collaboration with other um, entities and organizations at this forum. Um, One of the um, initiatives that we're working with is establishing global facilitation for the African Union, African Diaspora Sixth Region High Council.
Mm-hmm.
There was a side event for that. And, the hot topic is reparations. That was one of the main themes of the forum as well, was reparations. And there's a lot of lawyers. I'm impressed at the brilliance of the lawyers and the legal teams that we have in our community, and how people have studied this issue for years and they really understand it. And so from my perspective, there's an organizing effort that has to take place so that we're not continuing to work in silos around the world, but that we work together as a collective force. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
as Sheroes, we represent women and our organization is around women collectively, but there's also an effort for us as a diaspora to work in our areas of expertise collectively so that we have a governance structure to work on with the governments of Africa. And so I did want to mention that there was some very notable people, really most of the folks that are doing this work and have been doing it for a lifetime, were many of them were present
Mm-hmm.
at this forum. And so heavy hitters, movers and shakers, and I don't assign heavy hitters, movers and shakers to just names, but to me,
Mm-hmm.
you have a name because you've been doing the work for a long period of time. And so I pay
Yeah.
respect for people who have a body of work
Right.
to be acknowledged. And so many of the folks that are there have been doing this for a long time. And so for us to come together in the spirit of Ubuntu, to me, is
Mm.
what this is all about. So I do want to
Yes.
mention that as well. And, give thanks again to Sister Kim Poo for joining us in Geneva. I wish she could have been part of this interview today. I'm sure she will talk about Geneva in context of her other work that she's doing, outside of the Sheroes. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention her as the founder of the Shero Sisterhood. And thank you, Brother Haki, for making space for us. And hopefully we can come back and continue the conversation, because the work is not just one off. We're doing this all the time, every day, and making progress. So it's important that we set the narrative and just let people know what we're doing, and bring the conversation to a way that's educational and informational, and so that people have access to this information. So give thanks, and of course we always want to say, protect your womb, protect your sister, protect your nation. That
Yeah.
is the mantra of the Global African Sheroes Union.
Ashe, Ashe. But let me really quick, Sister Marlene, Marlene want to add something that she talked about really quick, and then that'll be it for us. Sister Marlene, you said you had something that you
Yes.
go for it.
And it's perfect just to piggyback off of Angela. Kim Poole did have a side event that I was able to join. And one of the things I said, like, I think it's important for us to have the spirit of Ubuntu amongst us African people and people of African descent. However, those allies, the white allies, or I guess non-melanated allies, one point that I brought up that I think is very important. I was a part of Cleveland Reparations Now, and it was great when we were in COVID and no one had anything to do. And it was kind of trending, right? Because of the George Floyd murder. A lot of allies came through and wanted to help. But then once life began, they set down the call and supposedly the passion to bring forth reparations. And so one of the things I mentioned is for those who do want to join and be a part of this work is to truly count the cost of what this means, because this is life work for us. This is what we are called to do. This is what we're passionate about. So anyone joining the movement truly has to count the cost, especially those who are non-melanated, and who think it's just a trend or a fad to jump on board to assist and help out of maybe perhaps sympathy, or like I said, it sometimes can trend, but it's important to count the cost and really choose to be a part of the movement wholeheartedly. That's all I wanted to include.
Okay. Yes,
'Cause I
yes, yes.
felt, sometimes people want to jump on board, when people are asking about how to be a Shero and all of that. Like it's
Right.
more than just a trend, or like we are literally doing this work. Like we wake up with this on us, we will probably die trying to complete this work.
Mm,
So it's a
right,
heavy
right.
call.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So thank you both. We appreciate you. Thank you, Sister Angela, for your time. And happy birthday to your niece. Happy 16th birthday to your niece. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you enjoying, time with your family today. And thank you, Marlene, for joining me. And so we shall be in touch, y'all. So y'all keep up the good work in Cleveland. And of course, one more time, I'll put the email out. If I can find it, or maybe. Okay, well, I don't know where that banner is, but definitely reach out, Global African Sheroes Union, on the Facebook and the YouTube page. So definitely appreciate y'all. So we'll be in touch. Y'all have a good day, and we shall be in touch. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Blessings.
Peace and
Cheers.
blessings. Thank you.